Good morning and welcome to Unusual Activity powered by FinancialJuice.com with George Avedon and Milton Marmonides. Thank you for joining us this morning, this 27th of February 2015. Milton is on assignment this week. We thank you for joining us. Certainly lots happening in the marketplace today, certainly overseas news, Fed speaker news. We have GDP coming in this morning. We'll get to that in just a moment. Certainly a great Friday for news and information. And let's get down right into the numbers, folks. We have the S&P futures are lower now by 3 points, even lower by 3 handles at 2106.75. We have crude oil now still below $50 at $48.97, higher by 81 cents. We have gold lower by $1.60 at 1208.6. Again, $1,208.60. Silver lower by about 18 cents here at $16.44.5. The 10-year here, folks, at 2.019, so back above that 2%. We've been commenting that that yield curve is rather important to watch, and that's something that Fed Speaker Fisher commented on yesterday, specifically on the short end of the yield curve, and that's something that we've been watching rather closely. We do have some numbers coming in this just now. We have the Milwaukee Institute of Supply Management numbers for February coming in at 50.32. Again, 50.32. Estimated was 54. Previous was 51.6. Again, Milwaukee Institute of Supply Management ISM numbers for February at 50.32. Estimated was 54. Getting back into the numbers here, folks, we have the DXY, the dollar index versus 10 other currencies at 95.040, down by 0.248, rather strong yesterday, and certainly having an impact on oil yesterday. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But again, rather significant moves here in the U.S. dollar. The euro at 1.1228, higher by 0.0029. Certainly from yesterday's conversation, a lot of folks still anticipating U.S. dollar euro parity by end of year, and that's something that we'll continue to monitor rather closely, folks. So let's jump into where we were yesterday on the markets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lower by 0.06% at 18,214.42. S&P 500 lower by 0.15%, lower by, at 2110.74. Nasdaq was the clear winner there at higher by 0.42% at 4987.89. So coming into this market, still a bit range bound, if you will, above that 2100 in that ES. Few things that we're watching for, of course, from a geopolitical perspective, high level perspective, see if there's any specific headlines that may impact with respect to ISIL into coming into this morning. Also, if any specific information coming out of OPEC, Saudi Arabia, with respect to oil. We've seen this oil dip back below that $50 range, now at $49.20. So rather volatile, continuing that volatility in oil, which is rather critical. Now let's jump into some of the commentary that we've been seeing. So yesterday's Fed Fisher, who is a non-voting member, tends to be a little bit on the hawkish side, commenting on the U.S. economy, indicating that not really concerned or not really seeing any significant impact from the strong U.S. dollar. We saw the same type of commentary coming in from Bullard the day before. Additionally, as we mentioned in the beginning of the show, real concentration on the short end of the yield curve, as they still the talk is increasing rates. It seems as though in the middle of this year, but again, we'll see how that actually turns out. Interesting about oil, we want to put this in there. Icon expects oil prices to continue to drop in the near term. Certainly, opinions are everywhere. We'll keep everyone honest as we see whether these folks are right. Certainly, we'll get into some of the other quotations we have, if you will. For example, Jim Cramer indicating some time ago this is a place to buy for oil. So again, very interesting commentary. So let's dive in a little bit more into what we're seeing this morning. Baltic Dry Index rises 1.3% to 540 points. This is something that we watch on a daily basis, specifically as it relates to certainly this is container ships. This is activity on for container ships with respect to grain, raw material. Great index to watch on a daily basis. Q4 GDP revised down to 2.2%. So again, lower revision here. This morning we have Chicago PMI at 9:45 in the morning. We have consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. and we have pending home sales index at 10 a.m. As well. So interesting to see how these numbers come out. We want to see if specifically in the Northeast, whether this, any blame in perhaps if it was a lower than expected number, if any blame is to go on, is to be attributed to the weather, if you will. So that's again, as you know, in the Northeast, had rather significant cool weather, cold weather, and is certainly impacting businesses in the area. So little information, some information here on options. During the last 5 trading days, volume in put options has lagged volume in call options by 41.84% as investors make bullish bets in their portfolios. However, this among the lowest levels of put buying seen during the last 2 years. So again, just an interesting bit of color as folks are opining, if you will, about the markets and the future and the rest of 2015 in terms of volatility. And so that's rather interesting there. So this morning, as we take a look at the themes of the morning, folks, they tend to be the same day in and day out because the same concerns exist for the markets in terms of rates, in terms of euro volatility, in terms of dollar strength and the impact on multinationals. We talked about that yesterday. Specifically, as we go into this next quarter, the stronger the dollar remains, the more of an impact it will have. So that is our opinion. Certainly, oil volatility. No shortage of opinions with respect to oil. With respect to deflation risk, inflation expectations, we mentioned this yesterday. Draghi coming out saying that we'll continue QE as long as we're paraphrasing here, as long as inflation is not met. Remember, they want inflation at a particular level, and that is 2%. We're not there. Certainly want to see if there's any more headlines out of the Greek ECB discussions. Certainly keeping an eye on this Treasury yield curve, as we have been saying for quite some time. And interestingly enough, Fed's Fisher commenting on the yield curve yesterday as well, as he was speaking in England. Certainly, the Russian economy continues to be back in focus as oil maintains its lower level. It's going to have an impact in the longer term. That is just it's an assumption, of course, but it's really looking like there are certain countries will be impacted. Several individual companies will be impacted, so that's something we're keeping an eye on. And we want to see how this Ukraine-Russian ceasefire plays out. If there's any significant headlines that may impact markets, we'll keep an eye on that. But that's we'll continue to monitor that rather closely. And of course, as we're coming towards the end of earnings season, see if there's any specific information that may impact specific securities. We want to bring this up as you're watching oil, as you're watching specific countries' reaction to this oil price. It will continue, and we're watching for rhetoric, we're watching for posturing. So far, even when there's a certain indication of a kind of a surprise OPEC meeting, it never comes to fruition. We saw markets certainly react to that earlier in the week, but again, back down below 50 in West Texas Intermediate crude. We'll check overnight markets. Let's head into where Asia finished. Nikkei finished just above flat here, 0.06% at 18,797.94. Hang Seng finished lower by 0.32% at 24,823.29. Shanghai finished higher by 0.36% at 3,310.30. We'll head into in Europe. Take a look at the FTSE, currently down by 0.18% at 6937.05. DAX in Germany higher by 0.09% at 11337.41. CAC in Paris higher by 0.22 at 4921.38, and the IBEX lower by 0.41% at 11,094.10. Let's head into where we are. This is for your information on oil. Remember, folks, as we maintain this lower level in oil, going to have an impact on producers, going to have an impact on CPI and PPI data. Certainly CPI data coming out yesterday lower than expected. Folks, central bankers want to see some level of inflation. And certainly lower oil prices certainly having impact on that. But again, we're keeping everyone honest, folks. At the top of your screen is your ETF, ETN list. At least put it in your mock portfolio. Keep an eye on it as it relates to oil volatility. With respect to oil, we're looking at levels of 54 to 55 resistance, $48 support. It's a rather large tradable range, and so initial resistance trading would be right around the 49.50 level. And support short term would be right around that 48.50 to 48.75 level. Ideal support would be at that 48, but again, rather volatile. So we see that continuing into the future. On the commodities, energy, and raw materials, we have again crude oil $49.27 now. Gasoline higher by 0.038 at 1.9382. Natural gas higher by 0.012 at 2.709. We did see some volatility there as of late, but certainly back down below that $3. Been below that $3, excuse me, but it was inching up just a bit with this rather frigid weather in the U.S. At 2.712. Heating oil higher by 0.0382 at 1.9315. Gold higher by $1.20 at $1,211.20. Silver maintaining that below 17 level, lower by 0.149 at $16.48. Cocoa higher by $25 over that 3,000 mark at 3005. So again, keeping an eye on that. In the yield curve, we have that 5-year inching up again at 1.515. We have the 10-year above the 20-year, about the 2%, excuse me, the 10-year above the 2% at 2.009. We saw that go above that 2% yesterday as well. The 30-year 2.607. So again, really keeping an eye on that yield curve going into the weekend here, folks. So a few things we want to go over in specific stocks this morning. Top upgrades. We certainly have a list of them here. We can go through, highlighted, if you will. So let's go with AFAM. Almost Family. We have a upgrade this morning. We can take a look at where we are this morning. Not indicating anything yet in Almost Family. ALK, Alaska Air, indicating this morning at $64.85. ACUR, we have this morning at 82 cents. Acura Pharmaceuticals at 82 cents this morning. CSX this morning indicating at $34.50. And we'll take a look at FDX and FedEx, higher this morning, $176.50. Let's take a look at some of the downgrades this morning. Let's take a look at BAC, Bank of America at $15.85. We have CA. CA Incorporated, we're waiting for that data in just a moment, indicating at $32.59 on that downgrade. Hero, Hercules Offshore, indicating currently at $66 this morning. Excuse me. RIG Rig, Transocean, discussed that yesterday's in yesterday's show at $16 and a penny this morning. And finally, we have WAC this morning, not indicating anything yet on that downgrade. A few headlines this morning, stock specific here. Citibank likely to return 44% of 2015 earnings to shareholders, according to Bernstein. We have Citibank currently at $52.18. Dara Biosciences indicating $1.05 this morning. A low floater bio on the move this morning. CERS. We have Cirrus Corp indicating this morning at $5.23. Not much volume, but signs intercept platelet agreement with Karolinska University Hospital. SNDK, SanDisk at $78.82. Morgan Stanley likes SanDisk shares here. TUBE, TubeMogul currently indicating $14.91. Yes, the headline guide is below expected. Hence, we attribute this reaction to an expectations miss rather than fundies. This according to RBC. So again, commenting on Tube. A few more headlines this morning, and then we'll get into the syndicates and insider transactions. WBAI, 500.com, we are indicating at $9.64. Deutsche downgrades to hold. EXPD, we currently are not indicating anything yet, but possible 17% rally according to BTIG, ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. We have $503.35 this morning, indication, and rather low volume. So again, we'll see how the concerns may rise on UNH update according to Evercore. CHMT, not indicating anything yet this morning. Likely to benefit most from merger, according to SunTrust. OCN, Aquin Financial, currently indicating it looks like about $9 in pre-market. Wells Fargo fires Aquin as bond overseer, hires Credit Suisse. So again, interesting development for Aquin. On the some filings overnight, CARB, Cardigan Medical. We have Discovery Group reports stake of 4.2% in CARB. Carbonite, we currently closed right around $15 yesterday. Not seeing anything yet this morning. CLB, Core Laboratories, Brown Advisory reports 2.36% passive stake in Core Laboratories, $109.26 close yesterday afternoon. Certainly a lot of information, a lot of opinions going about Apple. So here's Icon, no shortage of opinions there. Icon quote from EIP earnings: the performance of our investment in Apple, the largest position in our investment segment, softened the impact of the decline in oil prices and hopefully will continue to do so. I look forward to wearing the watch in the very near future and possibly driving the car in the more distant future. So again, a very optimistic Carl Icahn speaking on Apple. So let's dive into the syndicates and then the insider transactions. We'll get some of these highlighted syndicates. So Bloomin' Brands, BLMN, active in pre-market this morning. Currently $25.65, files to sell 18 million shares of common stock for holders. BA, Boeing, we have indicating $150.95, files automatic security shelf. Basically what it means is it could be anywhere from a preferred to common to convertibles to various other debt instruments. So that's interesting from Boeing. Eaton Corp, we have files automatic mixed security shelf as well. Eaton currently at $71.04 this morning. Take a look at PG&E, PCG, excuse me. Let's see, PG&E enters $500 million equity distribution agreement. We're not having any activity yet in pre-market, but we'll continue to take a look at that. Tandem Diabetes, TNDM. We currently have some action in pre-market here, folks. Currently at $12, 5.25 million shares, secondary price at $11.50. Transgenomic TBIO. Very little activity this morning. Currently at $1.86, raised a $6.2 million through an equity offering, and we have WFBI, Washington Bank shares, really no activity there, but again, files 50 million mixed security shelf. On the company buybacks, let's go through that as well. GPS, we saw approves a $1 billion company buyback, share buyback program, currently at $61.60. ROST, Ross Stores, indicating $103.30, $1.4 billion buyback program. BLMN, again, we discussed that in the secondary, indicating $25.68 in decent trading pre-market. Urban Outfitters, URBN, rather significant late day pop currently possibly indicating a $39.33 repurchase of up to 20 million shares. And RBA announces $100 million share buyback program, currently at $25.96. So let's get into some of the highlighted insider transactions this morning. BRX not indicating anything yet, but again, over $100,000 purchase. NHF, we have Next Point Credit Strategies. Yesterday closed at $11.53, over $1 million purchase by an affiliated person. WBB, small one there. NS, New Star Energy, indicating $62.63, about over $800,000 purchase. PSB, PS Business Parks, waiting for that information. This morning closed yesterday at $81.91, a $100,000 purchase by a director. SMLR, about a $250,000 purchase there. Not indicating anything yet, but again, significant purchase there. We can take a look at SGEN, Seattle Genetics. Yesterday's close right around the $36.43 mark. True, we've seen this for the last several days in TrueCar insider purchases, just under a $200,000 purchase by a director. Currently it closed yesterday right around that $19.20 range. And BLBD, Bluebird, very low volume security, but $25 million purchase by a 10% owner. Rather impressive there, so we wanted to bring that up. Folks, as we're getting ready for the open, let's have a run through of where we are in pre-market this morning. We have S&P futures lower by 2.25 points at 2107.75, so just about where we were this morning. We have crude oil at $49.28, higher by $1.11. And we have gold higher by $5.80, now higher at $1,215.90. 10-year maintaining that position over 2%. We'll see if that's able to hold at 2.016. And the dollar, the U.S. dollar, a little bit higher than we were this morning at 95.187, lower by 0.105. And the euro, higher this morning at 1.1205, higher by 0.0006. So folks, certainly turning out to be an interesting morning. Lots of upgrades, downgrades. We'll see where the market goes. Certainly we've been seeing, just a word of caution, the afternoon trading does tend to, volume does tend to dissipate as of late, but we'll see if that continues today. Folks, thank you for listening to Unusual Activity, powered by FinancialJuice.com with George Avedon and Milton Marmonides. We wish you a great weekend. Have a great day. Good hunting.